The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to remind my good friend that in Texas, local judges are elected by Texas citizens, not chosen directly by the president. In this case, in this bill, they want to bypass any sort of local control over the selection of judges and have these appointees being chosen directly by Donald Trump. That's wrong, and folks should oppose this bill. I want to yield 7 minutes to the gentlewoman from the District of Columbia, Representative Norton.
Gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank the gentleman for yielding. I strongly oppose this bill, which eliminates the District of Columbia's already small role in the selection of local judges. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record letters opposing this bill from D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, the entire D.C. Council, D.C. Attorney General Brian Swell, and the D.C. Bar.
Without objection.
I also ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter on this bill from the D.C. Judicial Nomination Commission.
Objection.
Under the D.C. Home Rule Act, the President, with the advice and consent of the Senate, a chamber in which D.C. has no representation, appoints judges to the local D.C. courts. The President must make a nomination from a list of candidates recommended by the Judicial Nomination Commission. The establishment of the Judicial Nomination Commission provided D.C. with 3, albeit limited roles in the nomination of its local judges. First, members of the commission must be D.C. residents. Second, D.C. appoints 3 of the 7 members of the commission. Third, the commission holds a public comment period on applicants for a vacancy on the local D.C. courts, allowing D.C. residents to express their views on applicants. Republicans claim the Judicial Nomination Commission is unconstitutional because it limits the president's authority to make nominations. They are wrong. The commission has been in existence for 50 years. Congress, not the president, has plenary authority over D.C. Congress also has plenary authority over the territories, and Congress has given them authority to select their local judges without any role whatsoever for the president or Congress. I refer my Republican colleagues to the Supreme Court's decisions in 2020 regarding the appointments of the Puerto Rico Financial Control Board, which Congress established pursuant to its plenary authority over Puerto Rico. The court held the Appointments Clause of the Constitution does not restrict the appointment of local officers that Congress vests with primarily local duties pursuant to the territorial or district clauses of the Constitution. Local D.C. judges are local officers that Congress vests with primarily local duties pursuant to the district clause. The long-standing judicial vacancy crisis on the local D.C. courts is not due to any failure of the Judicial Nomination Commission. The commission always meets its 60-day statutory deadline to submit a list of names for a vacancy to the president. The crisis exists because the president, and to a larger extent the Senate, regardless of the party in power, do not prioritize local D.C. judges. For example, there has been a vacancy on D.C.'s highest court since 2013. Congress should give authority to the over 700,000 D.C. residents to select their local judges in any manner they choose. D.C. residents, the majority of whom are Black and brown, are capable of governing themselves. Since Republicans do not trust D.C. residents with self-government, they should at least address the long-standing vacancy crisis in local D.C. courts. which is harming public safety and access to judges. A simple resolution, a solution is to make an appointment to the local DC courts effective 30 days after the president makes a nomination, unless Congress enacts a disapproval resolution during that period. That is essentially the same process used for congressional review of legislation enacted by DC. I urge my colleagues to vote no on the Judicial Nominations Reform Act and to grant DC statehood instead. Free DC. And I yield back.
The gentlelady yields.